The line we came up with in that situation was, I'm sensitive, yes. And how are you going to deal with that moving forward? That line just liberated me,
Right.
because it was like I wasn't fighting it anymore. I am, but if the sensitivity is what you really are having a sticky point on, you, my lovely leader, how are you going to deal with it? Never play it again, Rita, for that card. Never.
Welcome to the Self-Care Goddess podcast, where healing stories, practical self-care strategies, and science-backed tools to regulate stress, feel calm, grounded, and energized come together to help you reclaim your vitality. I'm your host, Rita Savoya, holistic nutritionist, trauma-informed breathwork coach, and founder of Breathwork Barista. This podcast is for women who are ready to restore their energy and radiance, reconnect with their bodies, reawaken their inner power, and redefine self-care as a way of being. Through science meets soul practices, restorative mind-body tools, and real stories of transformation, we'll explore how true well-being can help you live with more joy, vibrant health, and authentic connection to yourself and those you love. Take a deep breath in, let it go, and let's begin. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self-Care Goddess podcast with today's special series, Uplift Her Leadership Series. Before I introduce our awesome guest, as you know on this podcast, we walk the talk here. So we're going to give ourselves just a few moments to check in. Check in with our bodies, check in with our heart, with our mind. How do we do that? Maybe lowering your gaze or even closing your eyes if you're able to really tune out the outer world and just go within for a couple of moments here, following your breath, flowing in through the nose, feeling the expansion, and then out through the mouth with a gentle sigh. Inhaling, feeling that rib cage expand, and then letting it go with a gentle sigh, helping to release any tension in any part of your body that's perhaps requesting some attention today. So allowing those exhales to leave that part of the body where you might be feeling some tightness. Allowing the exhales to soften. See if you can breathe a little deeper than usual, a little longer exhales than usual, to really invite in that softening and that relaxation of that part of the body. Inhaling through the nose one more time, and then exhaling with a gentle sigh. Your next inhale, I invite you to channel the inhales and exhales into the area of the heart. So allowing the inhales and exhales to energize this beautiful organ that's keeping you alive without asking for anything in return. Feeling the gratitude for your heart and how hard it works for you every day. And in this space of immense gratitude, I now invite you to visualize someone that you're grateful for today. Living or past. Visualize this person as if they were right here in front of you. And I invite you to send them all the love, the gratitude, and the appreciation for being in your life. Now I invite you to send that same love, that same gratitude and appreciation, send it back to you. Fill your heart with that same love. Feel the expansion throughout your entire body, not just your heart area. On your next inhale, flutter your eyes open, come back to us. Just love starting podcasts this way so that we're into coherence, our heart, our mind, and our bodies, and just we become a lot more receptive and open to this incredible information we're about to share with you today. So without further ado, today's guest is someone who helps women come back into control of their health and, more importantly, back into connection with themselves. Elisa Cristalogo is a coach, speaker, and founder of Coaching and Medicine Incorporated, where she supports high achieving women in midlife in breaking free from the cycle of yo-yo dieting and finally creating a sustainable, empowered relationship with their bodies and their lives. With over 2 decades of experience, Elisa works with women who have achieved so much on the outside, yet feel stuck, exhausted, and disconnected within. Through evidence-based nutrition, mindset work, and personalized coaching, she helps them rebuild confidence, clarity, and self-trust in a way that actually lasts. As a recovery yo-yo dieter herself, Elisa is known for cutting through the noise and guiding women toward what truly works, without extremes and without overwhelm. And beyond her work, there's a joyful and playful side to Elisa. She'll often be found dancing to Sicilian music in her kitchen, like nobody's watching. She has a soft spot for traditional panettone. And if her life had a soundtrack, it would be Downtown by Petula Clark. Elisa, welcome to the Self-Care Goddess podcast and the Uplift Her Leadership series. How are you today?
I'm awesome, Rita. Thank you so much. I so enjoyed getting in sync with you and the rest of our listeners. This is just a treat, I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for participating in it as well. So, what a journey that you're on and continue to be on. And I definitely know that playful side of you from the moment I met you, just beautiful instant connection, radiating energy. And I just love to know more about what sort of sparked this mission that you're on today.
Well, it really is me coming to grips with what I have to offer the world and finally taking the step forward to say, I've got a voice, I want a platform, I want to share, I want to connect, and I want to help women, to not feel stuck, to not feel, seen, that they have options, and it's my time to give back to the world. I've done the corporate ladder. I've done all of that fun. This is now the time where I get to kick back and hold safe spaces for women to say, really, what's possible? What's on your wish list? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's have it all. And that's where I'm at right now. And it's a blast. It really is, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you're doing so many beautiful things. And, we were just talking offline that we'll definitely have you back on the Self Care Goddess podcast, talking about your methodology and how you've helped women with the yo-yo dieting and just feeling unstuck, even though they're super fulfilled and super successful. So for sure, let's put that definitely a schedule that. So stay tuned, everyone. But today is all about you and your story, and maybe you can share with us a pivotal moment in your career where you focused or you faced a major challenge, and how did you overcome it? Because these moments they really define us, don't they?
100%. When I think of that question, it takes me back to when I first got into management. So I had a sales career in an industrial launderer called GK Services at the time. They've recently been bought out, large American company. So the environment was very go, 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 results, results, results. 30% margins were not enough. So the intensity was really there. I got promoted into sales management, and on my first day of taking over the location, I'll never forget it. It was at Warden and Eglinton here in Scarborough. And one of the managers came in and said, put his hands firmly on the desk and proclaimed that he was going to take down my entire sales organization. Literally, I had taken the post maybe 2-3 hours. Without showing him, the blood drained my veins. And I thought, what did I just accept? So I heard him out, and, off he went. Within 3 weeks, I had him doing the majority of my paperwork, assisting my sales reps, doing a lot of the work that the service department refused to do for the sales department, or for the sales department to flourish. But I did that by building the relationship. So I didn't jump on what he said. I gave him an opportunity. I said, let's build a relation. Let me build a relationship. What this individual is seriously wounded in some way. And I need to figure that out, because it wasn't a matter, I wasn't going to go down toe for toe against the threat. And that was very pivotal for me, because my strategy worked. And it proved to me early on in my leadership career, my management career, that building relationships first and foremost before you tackle any obstacle or any strategy, that is the foundation. Without that, no matter how great your idea is, how revolutionary a tactic might be, it won't be able to sustain the interplay between people. And that to me was, I mean, I thank him now, because like I said, it was like within 2 hours of me being promoted and taking my post, you could imagine my desk, everything was perfect. And I just got this, like, what? And so I'm so pleased that I listened to my instinct. And as women, that's our power, is really to be able, we have another side to us, that we can really not, I don't want to say channel, I want to say use, right? To lean into it, because that is really what we need in today's landscape, anyways, as I see it. So that was one of the moments for me, Rita. Still
Wow.
burned really, really into my psyche, if you will. Well,
Yeah.
imagine, right? You take
Yeah.
over your post and someone's threatening to take down your whole department.
Yeah, dismantle it. Wow, that's definitely a shocker. But so much to unpack here, Lisa. It's great because at the end of the day, it's so true. We're human beings, and it's really doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And I'm finding this out sometimes the difficult way. It doesn't matter how good you are, how good your products are, if
Mhm.
you don't have the relationship with certain people that are influencing whatever it is, the buying decision or whatever it is, you're just, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. It is about the relationship. So I'm curious, what did you do exactly, like in terms of exploring the relationship or nurturing the relationship?
Well, I mean, talking to my sales teams, not directly in terms of what I had heard. And I think that's part and parcel of it, because, when you're in a management position, you're going to hear from the individuals that are reporting to you, as well as who you're
Hmm.
reporting to. So you've got to hold both camps at bay and be able to deliver an appropriate message, because you don't want to put the camps at each other's arms, right? That, against each other. So it was listening to my sales team and what was going on or what had happened. And also listening to at that time, it was the service department that I'm referring to. So there's sales and service. So we would sell it, obviously get the customer, and then they would maintain the relationship. So that's how it worked. But it was really about listening to what had broken, right? What tipped this individual to respond like that right out of the gates after meeting and shaking my hand at a management meeting, that when we were one-on-one, he went for the jugular. And when I heard what was going on, I could see, these weren't easy fixes. These were, how do we build trust? Right,
Hmm.
which is fundamental, because when you're passing the baton from one department to the other, you need that level of trust. What does each department need in order to not break that trust or to come through on whatever promise? So that
Hmm.
was number two. And then, making the decision of how to actually deal with it. Like, how was I going to deal with it? And I remember the gentleman I was reporting to, his name was Bob Wood. He was the general manager. He knew what was going on, right? He walked in about an hour afterwards. He goes, "How's everything going?" And I said, "Just great." Because, "You've had a good reception from everybody?" I said, "Yes, I have." Right? Lied right through my teeth, but it wasn't his. In order for me to totally overcome what was in front of it, wasn't about me. It was about the way that the systems were working. So I needed to treat the system and not take it personally. And
Yeah.
he literally left he knew what had happened. So it was, removing that personal element and taking a look at the systems and what does the system need in order to flourish. And we did it. Now, it wasn't a matter of making the service department subservient to the sales department. That's not what happened. We started to work collaboratively and take on each other. So my department took on their responsibilities, and the service department took on theirs, and then we could work collaboratively. But we can't pawn off our responsibilities, like they can't either, right? So that trust needed to be there. It also needed to be defined.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you take the personal out of it, because it wasn't about me, or it wasn't about the sales team individually, Donna or Mike. It wasn't about those individuals. It was about what was going on from almost a tactical, transactional kind of stage, right? So it was a lot of
Mm.
fun. I learned a lot, and that's the ironic. What's really ironic is we try to make things perfect, and that's not where growth comes. Growth comes from those uncomfortable places, right?
Mm.
They kind of grate on you a little bit. It's like you're rubbing up. When you're rubbing up against sandpaper, look out, because things are about to get really good in your life. Might not be in the moment, but they definitely will.
Yeah, they do define us. They really do. And you spoke about intuition, and I'm just curious about this because it's just something that I don't know. Do you believe that you're born with it? Can you teach intuition? Can you develop it at a later stage? Do you need life experience in order to really lean into that intuitive power that we all have? And then we'll talk a little bit more about women in general. But what are your thoughts on that, Elisa?
Well, I think all of the above, what you just said, but I also think that, what do we need to remove in order for us to even hear our
Mm.
intuition? I think that's, and especially in today's age, I mean, you can't go anywhere without having um, something try to grab your attention, right? So it's a question of what's louder, which one has the louder microphone, and and the work that you do is so critical, because like we started off this podcast, enabling me and your listeners and viewers to shut everything off and be here. You can hear things, you can feel things in your energy, right? So I would say that that's really where the key is, if you will. And then it's a skill and a practice, right? And you have to keep at it. Like it's not a place you arrive at. Yes, I have intuition, or I don't. You just keep keep at it. Just keep listening and testing, right? Keep trying. And then, okay, well, maybe that was not perhaps the right message I listened to. You won't know until you actually try. But
Mm.
that's where resilience is born as well, right? So you're listening to that intuition by all the things that you listed, as well as being really cognizant of, how do I tune
Mm.
everything out, right? Which is, in today's day and age, I think that's a skill in of itself, which again, with practice, um, gets stronger and sharper, and your voice comes out. You know.
Mhm. And distraction for sure. We're so distracted, and we are
Hmm.
actually mastering the art of distraction when we're on these multiple devices, watching TV, on our phones, like doing so many different things. And I often tell this story. I used to be in HR before I got into the wellness space.
Mm.
And so I used to do a lot of recruitment as well. And multitasking was one of the leadership competencies we used to look for on a job interview. It's like, oh, can you demonstrate a time when you had to multitask? And now if I think about it, I'm like, that is just so wrong because we're just mastering, we're feeding into that mastery of distraction, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
it's proven that we can multitask. Like you are
No, I know.
certainly taking away time from that major task that you think you're doing two or three at a time. You're actually decreasing the quality of the output by
Mm-hmm.
splitting your attention to those different
Mm-hmm.
tasks. So, anyway, just kind of a side note, just a reminder of how things have changed so much. So, tell me a little bit more about, I mean, you've done so much, you're still doing so much. I'm curious if you've ever experienced burnout. And if so, what are some signs that maybe we should be watching out for? Because with burnout, you won't know until you're there, you're burnt out, but there are signs and symptoms that kind of tell you, hey, something is about to happen. So what were yours if you ever experienced burnout?
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I think that even when you burn out, you still don't even recognize it as burnout. For me, I can say that I remember exactly when it was, and I didn't even realize it was burnout. Like that's how exhausted I was. But so I became the director of sales, which was across Canada, which involved me being away from home like 3-4 days out of the week
Wow.
for for a number of years, sales conferences, holding them, attending them. So my life was really jam packed. And I remember I had this, I used to call it my phantom pain. It's neuralgia, which is a faulty nerve ending in your brain that sends this phantom pain in different areas of your body, right? So that was one symptom. And it was debilitating. Almost once every 3 to 4 weeks, I would end up, and I just absolutely would not be able to move. My weight skyrocketed. I was around 38, 37, just over the top. I would not be able to wash dishes without my back, in
Mhm.
serious, serious pain. But I still didn't recognize any of that as burnout. I didn't. I just kept working, plugging away 12 hours a day, 13 hours a day, going to, when I would travel, I mean, the hours were even longer than that because we'd start at 7. And then when you're traveling, you meet with the sales team or you meet with this. And you're well into 10, 11 o'clock coming to your hotel room. And then at that point, you're just crashing. But I remember opening up my dishwasher and I went to bend down and I felt the pain and I opened it and I felt the pain. And then I looked and I thought, I haven't ran this dishwasher with my husband and I thought in 3 weeks. And I looked at my husband and said, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, what am I doing? And that's when I decided to take a detour. And actually, the first coaching that I did was with business coaching and motivational speaking. So that was in my early 40s, and sales training, which was I had an amazing time doing that. But I basically said I need to, and I did. I just put down. I handed in the resignation. And, it took probably 5 to 8 years before the neuralgia calmed down.
Wow.
And probably at least from when I quit to feeling better in my body, I would say probably about 12 years. Like that's how much the toll took. It was
Mm.
quite severe. But again, I didn't, when I made that decision, I had no idea I was burnt out. I'm being really serious. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like
Mm.
it wasn't until like years later that I thought I was I was running on fumes,
Yeah.
constantly having to prove, constantly reaching for results, pushing, pushing, pushing.
Yeah.
It was
And
hard. It was hard.
for sure. And maybe so you can talk to us a little bit about like how you did it back then and now how you're doing it now, but how are you balancing the work life? If there's even such a thing as work life balance, but how are you doing it?
Yeah. Well, I think back then, one of the things that it was the mentality of I need to do it all. I need to prove what I can do both in the home and out of the home. I have a wonderful husband and it's just not about him, but just even asking, pick up the grocery from my culture, being Italian, the expectation was the woman's supposed to do it all. So it wasn't, it's a combination now of understanding that I don't need to prove, right? I
Mm.
can ask for help. I can
Mm.
outsource certain things. Had I had that position now, if I was in that position now, my assistant, would have a lot of other responsibilities that would support me on an individual basis, right? Like other than just okay, what are the call sheets for this week, like you know what I'm saying, we're when I was in that position I carried it all. Like I would never outsource anything. The office manager, I wouldn't rely on her to see the credit right through. I would follow it like a hawk. Why?
Mm.
So it was even me taking on more than I needed to because I needed to ensure I was the only female in leadership, right? I was the only female at the annual or the quarterly management.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was surrounded by 13 to 14 men. So I
Mm.
needed to prove it all. So I think that's where it's different now, where I can ask for. I'm not asking for help. I am asking for help, but it's not about that I can't do it. It's not, I don't need to do it. I can set boundaries around what needs to happen, whether it be in my work life, outsourcing something to someone who has that expertise, who has that efficiency, or in my home life, someone I'm living with and,
Yeah.
needs to learn how to do certain things. Like my
Yeah.
children need to learn how to pick a tomato off a shelf. It's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Share those responsibilities, right?
Sure, exactly. Versus,
Mhm.
20 years ago, 40-year-old me would not have allowed you're going to pick like my romaine lettuce from me? Absolutely not. Like that, there's going to be a dinner and I'm not going to do all the grocery shopping. No, 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 no. So
Yeah.
I needed control. And I think that's the big thing. When I take a look at what's changed in women leadership, in the last little, where we're going, and this is what I share with my daughter as well, is I think we're past that. I need to prove, I need to overwork, I need to over deliver. We're now entering the era of self-trust. Trust yourself. You've got this. You don't, we don't have to get on a megaphone anymore like we did 20, 25 years ago, and you needed that, right?
Mhm.
um so at least that's how I see it now.
Yeah, no, makes sense for sure. I really, it really resonates with what you're saying. And just reminds me of a story of a lady I used to work with. And I remember I was in high school, beginning of university, and she was like, Rita, make sure you let your husband do the dishes and the set the table, even though I'm sure he's not going to do it the way you like it, but just get
Hmm.
him to do it anyway, because then when years go by, it's going to be too late to train them to do it, right? So just making
Yeah.
sure. And you're right, there's a lot of women that come on this podcast and we talk about the exact same thing. It's that control, that inability to ask for help, that sort
Hmm.
of, we grew up with, we need to do it all because we saw our mothers do it all, we saw our grandmothers do it all. And if you think about it, our grandmothers and maybe even some of our moms weren't even working full time. And most of us are working full time and having a second job, full time job when we get home. So do you find that it's, I know you said it's changing, but at a rate that, maybe what next generation it's going to be kind of very different, or we're still kind of at a slower pace changing this perspective?
No, I think it's changing. See, when we talk about our grandmothers, right? You're absolutely right. They were at home, so they, as a family, they divided and conquered. Man would go out, and women would take care of the home. And it's just recently, the last 40, 50 years, where both women and men are working. That takes time to change
Yeah.
that mindset around that. And I think we're there now, right? I think we're there. Like I think of my son when he gets married, his wife is studying to be or future wife anyways, studying to be a career lawyer, or my daughter for that matter, and their husbands, they're both working.
Yeah.
I can say that they're the second or third generation to be doing that, because my mom and dad both worked as well, right? But so I think we're there, Rita. I think we're
Mhm.
there. I think we need to start making it normal in our conversations. I think we hold a very pivotal role to not look at it sideways anymore, right?
Yeah.
To acknowledge it, to not praise it. I don't mean to praise, but if someone's doing their part, I love attaboys and attagirls. We need more of that. We need to focus in on what's working real well. Acknowledge it. Like that is fantastic. I'm not saying we
Mm-mm.
need to like, break out or the band every time a gentleman changes a diaper, but I mean,
Yeah.
acknowledge it. Like, thank you. That's awesome. Good for you. Or
Yeah.
ask questions like, how are you bonding? Like, that's awesome that what's that feel like? Your child, being so comfortable with you. Ask them questions about it so they get more comfortable with it. It starts to become part of our fabric, our DNA, those conversations. So it's moving it more from an expectation to, okay, what's this providing you? I mean, I know being a mom or being that nurturer type fills me up with tremendous like wonderful things that I wouldn't otherwise experience, right? So we need to start asking those questions so that people can, you know, connect with what they're doing. Because there's effort and then there's connection with effort, right? And effort will only be replicated if you connect with the effort. Like, this is what I got out of it, right?
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
we're changing, we're going, Rita. We're
Yes.
left.
In the right
Yeah.
trajectory. Yes, I agree. I
Yes.
agree. Yes, I love that. So you touched upon this earlier, and when you said you were the only female in that boardroom, just really resonated with me because when I was working in Dubai, I was the only female in the boardroom, and oh, I can tell you some stories of what I went through because I was the only one. But what I found, and I didn't know this, Elisa, until I came back and started my other career in wellness and really started nurturing my mom's health back to health. I started being more in my feminine side, or I guess engaging more or appreciating it more. Because when I was in Dubai in that leadership role, when I was the only woman, I just felt like I needed to lean into more of my masculine energy, that doer, implementer. Did you find that in your sales position? And yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, no, I definitely can appreciate that boardroom. I could share the same similar stories of leaving the
Mm,
boardroom, getting into my car and literally being sick, like just feeling sick.
mm,
I think for me, one of the big turning points for me was to confront what was different about us. Again, building relationships is really important. So being open about, who you are and what you like, and being appreciative of who's on the other side and figuring out what they like and who they are. But I working with a coach at the time, I worked with this phenomenal coach, and she really, really helped me out a lot. And we came up with this one sentence, and I remember saying it to my boss, and I floored him, which was awesome. But I handled stress differently than the men did, right? You didn't think. I remember, a fist flying into, I mean, I'm over exaggerating, but like the likeness of a fist hitting a table, or well,
hmm.
I would well up with emotion, which was my fist, right? But from a masculine standpoint, this was acceptable, but welling up wasn't. And so the line we came up with in that situation was, I'm I'm sensitive, yes. And how are you going to deal with that moving forward? That line just liberated me,
Right.
because it was like I wasn't fighting it anymore. I am. That is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm compassionate. I'm sensitive. I'm empathetic. I'm all those things. But if the sensitivity is what you really are having a sticky point on, you, my lovely leader, how are you going to deal with it?
Yeah.
I got never played again, Rita, for that card. Never.
Mm,
Never, ever, ever. But it took the amount of courage, because I was exposing myself, right?
exactly. Yes.
I was completely just, here it is, which, I mean, was there because I did have a good relationship, but I needed to really communicate. Hey, listen,
Mm,
we, we channel, we express differently.
yeah.
Doesn't make one right or wrong, you
Yeah.
know. But how are you going to deal with it? Yes, I am
Yeah.
sensitive, and how are you going to deal with it? This was, yeah,
That's powerful. I love that. Wow. Mic drop right there, Lisa. Because then you're putting the onus on them, right? It's not on you, it's on them, on how they're going to deal with it, right? Because you've expressed your vulnerability and you said, this is who I am and I'm not changing it because it does serve you. It has and it will. And it is a beautiful, beautiful feminine energy or beautiful qualities to embrace, right? And oftentimes research shows that they'd actually companies that women are leading, the employees are much happier and much more engaged, right? The teams are
mhm,
performing better. So there's definitely some advantages to embracing that as a woman, and not having to lean into that masculine energy because we need both. We use
right.
both. We need both. But just it's when you do one over the other, or you sort of favor one because of the pressure of the job, right? But yeah, so what was the feedback? What did your boss do?
Well, I mean, fundamentally, what I was doing is taking responsibility for me.
Yeah,
I couldn't take
yeah.
responsibility for him, and oftentimes, and I see that even in my coaching, my current client list, clinic, what have you, is we're trying to figure out what the other person needs and or wants. When the only thing we can really affect is how we are going to move
Mm-mm.
forward. So it was really me taking responsibility, and there's so much distraction and so much noise that sometimes it's very hard for us to see. If I take the responsibility, what can come out of this, right? Because that's all I did, is I took responsibility over my own. Yes, here it is. Now, how are we going to work together? So it changed. He became, we became our mutual respect for one another became a lot stronger,
Mm.
right? Working on projects became a lot. It became, I'm not going to say easier, because projects in and of themselves are always filled with tension, but we understood how to tackle certain things, and we could draw on each other's strengths to handle it. I remember going to see General Motors, and we were just about to lose the contract. So he called me in, and so my boss and I went, and he was at that time the vice president of the Canadian region. So it was a big account, General Motors, you can imagine. And we were able to really lean into both energies to save the account, right? So he could not, because that's what you need to do as a leader, is identify where your people's strengths are, and then be able to use them, right? Not use them,
Yeah,
but give them the platform to
right.
stretch and use your abilities, right? So
Yes.
it was really fantastic. But like I said, it took a lot of talking, and a lot of courage on my end to say, okay, you know what, I've got to do this, I've got to try it. And it was really beneficial for everybody, right? For everybody concerned.
Yes, I love
Take
that.
a chance
Beautiful.
on yourself.
Exactly. Yes, try it. If anyone, this story really resonates with you, maybe give that a try
Yeah,
as
for
soon as
sure.
possible. So, what are your top three self-care rituals that you do on a daily basis, Elisa, to kind of keep you grounded and, in these or energized?
Hmm. So I pray. That is my form of meditation. And I do lean in if there's a difficult moment in the day, and or I need to shut everything off, I will lean into prayer. That is definitely on my list. I love moving my body. My walks are everything. Even on days like today, my daughter and I just went out before the podcast, and a strangest thing, we see this on the one of the electrical boxes. She says, "Mommy, there's a lion there," and I said, "What are you talking about, a lion, right?" And there was literally a Lego piece like a lion. And when you go on these walks, that's the beauty of it. It interrupts all of the
Yeah.
noise and
Yes.
things that are going on in your head, and the
Mm.
news cycle, or whatever is happening, and whatever drama is going on Instagram now. So the walk for me is really critical, because it reconnects to nature, and you see these things around you that just
Yeah.
interrupt the noise, right? So
Yes.
that would be number two. And I would say, I love pickleball. I'm absolutely hooked.
Good for
No, it's
you.
a problem. It really is.
Why?
Because
Why?
if I could, I'd play every day, but I know I can't play every day, because that's not what you should do. But if I'm not playing, I'm thinking about playing. It is awesome. I would highly
Wow.
recommend anyone who hasn't tried to try it, because
Yeah.
it's great.
It's oh, it's beautiful. And also for brain health, like
Yeah, that's what
prevention,
they, for sure.
Alzheimer's, mental cognitive
Yeah.
decline, prevention, any racket sports where you're doing cross body, you're using
Yeah.
eye hand coordination. Yeah, super powerful. I do squash. I have to give pickleball a try, and I do tennis.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah.
okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool. So, yes, you keep yourself very active. You're glowing, so it's definitely working. Yeah, you look more
Thank you.
beautiful than ever. So, what is one rule, if any, that you've joyfully broken on your way to where you are now?
I mean, again, because, and I'm saying this with regards to, my culture, if you will, to run an organization, right? I mean, that's just, I mean, let me put it to you this way. When I was growing up, my mom would say, you're going to become a secretary, you're going to get married, and then you're going to have children, and then you'll be able to leave your job because you're a secretary, and that's all you need to do.
Right.
And which is completely incredible because my mom ran her own business, but the story that was
Yeah.
so embedded in her, even though my mom was an entrepreneur. My
Mm.
mom ran her own business for 30 years, which is unheard of for her generation, right? There's just a handful of them, right?
Mm.
But yet for me, her big dream was that I was just going to be a secretary. And I actually did become a legal secretary. I worked at Gowlings, it was called, downtown on Bay Street. And Rita, fun story. I got demoted 3 times in 1 year. I went from the secretary pool where all the beginners went to switchboard. And then from switchboard, I went to reception. I got demoted 3 times. And then
Mhm.
finally they said, we just don't think you're cut out for this. And I said, I agree. No, it wasn't a bad thing. It was an awesome thing because I knew I was trying to make my mom like,
Right.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I broke from that. Like I completely broke from that and then I just took off in the corporate world. So,
yeah.
but I mean, I share that story with my daughter. I got demoted 3 times in they just couldn't put me any lower. Like I messed everything.
You just did not want to be there. Yes. And
I
subconsciously.
had a great time. I had great relationships. The attention to detail for me,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it is such, I have, I know lots of people still in the profession that they went to high school together or whatnot that are still the attention to detail, um, what's the word I'm looking for? The systems organization that you need. That's just not where my skill set was at. Like it just
Mhm.
wasn't. So it was a mismatch, right? It was a complete mismatch. And it's also there's very little form of creativity in there, right? Because
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's the legal system. You're following legislation. You
Yeah.
can't break any rule.
No. No way. Exactly. Exactly. Well, again, these are pivotal moments, right, that define us, and then they make great stories for sure. So, what is a piece of advice that you'd give a high performing woman today on how to cultivate resilience? So, we touched a little bit about resilience, but
Mm.
especially during these uncertain times.
I know resilience, and I love our day and age because we have so many great words um, that we can kind of, paste all over our walls and motivate us and help us
Mm.
keep grounded. And resilience is really key, especially even in my coaching, when we're talking about nutrition, because resilience is a big part of how you stop being a yo-yo dieter, right? So it is a tremendous piece of it. But to me, resilience is really, having the understanding that we're going to try something,
Mhm.
right? We're going to learn something from that. And depending on what we learn, we're going to tweak it and then we loop back to try. So it's not so much a place that you arrive as much as it is a place that you exercise at, right? And it's back to that skill and that practice. These things are practices that increase our skill so that we can become resilient. But it's not a place that you arrive. No one's resilient, at least, so we need the framework to be resilient in my mind, right? And that's really what um, I've the underbelly of me is really that I've tried things, I've learned from them, and then I tweak. I say, okay, this didn't work out too good. Like, oh, well, I could
Yeah.
share a lot of those stories. But what did you learn from them, right? So, and I remember earlier on, I said I'm a big proponent of ATA girls and ATA boys. We
Hmm.
really need to, it serves two purposes when we're, building our resiliency muscle, if you will. When we're learning from whatever we've tried, if it's gone the way that we planned it to go, really celebrate that. Give yourself an atta girl, right? And if it hasn't gone the way you thought it was going to go, then we need to celebrate that you at least tried. But just say to yourself, okay, well, what do I need to change so that I can get that? And just keep reiterating that. And that's resiliency.
Yes, that's so true. So powerful as well. And I believe that we're a lot more receptive to it now. Like before, I feel like failure was failure. It's, big F, like you failed, like that's it, give it up. But now I feel that there's, because of the resources that are available out there, people are a lot more open to failing, that it's okay. We hear stories, I mean,
Mhm.
Airbnb, this is like the ninth iteration of what we saw today, like the famous, what was his name? Oh my gosh, Kentucky Fried
Oh,
Chicken, right?
Kentucky Fried
With
Chicken, yeah.
his recipe
65,
to a
yeah.
thousand different restaurants before he received a yes. So I feel like that is part of resilience, is part of failing, getting back up and trying something different. And you're
Mm.
absolutely right. And just, yeah, I think just keep going, especially if you have the passion for it. But maybe a question for me is to you is, how do you know when to like really hang up the boots, or like just, really pivot and do something different and stop like hammering this thing that is just definitely not going to work? Do we go back to intuition and trusting our intuition that maybe we shouldn't be doing this, we should be doing something different? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's I love the question. Such a powerful question, but it really deserves, if it, without context, like it's really hard
Mhm.
to answer. I don't believe, um, not I don't believe in not giving up, because I don't think see, that's what I mean. It's not about giving up, or it's about learning from it, right? So if you've learned from it, and what you've learned is, listen, this is not going to work no matter how many times you've tried it, then being okay with saying, okay, need to go a different route. But not just because you fail, you need to like dissect, like, what happened, right? Was it lack of resources? Was it effort? Was it not having enough people around you? Whatever the issue was, I mean, I could share with you, like, in my practice here, is it the environment? Is it who you're living with? Is it your options, right? Like, these are things that we kind of test the waters on. But if you're learning from that, then you either are going to try something else. If you've exhausted all avenues, then you know what? But as long as you've learned from it, right? I think that's where resilience comes in.
Yeah,
Um,
having.
but I think it's like motivation. People think I need to be motivated. It's not. Motivation actually comes after success, right? It doesn't it doesn't come before. And resilience is one of these words too, like motivated, like that are out in the ethernet here. What does it really mean? And that's why I try to give it more of a framework. Resilience to me is that you tried, you're learning from it, right? And then you're making a decision as to what you can move forward or not move forward, right?
Mhm.
So if you've got a system in place, I think that's what drives resiliency. I
Yeah.
Because even shifting and going another way is resilient, being resilient,
For sure, for
right?
sure. And what I'm sort of, what while you were talking, for me, I just pictured the component, or like the key is just taking action. Just take action.
Mm-hmm,
Just
mm-hmm.
take action with, in whatever way, shape, or form. And if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, then that we pivot, then we change something, then we analyze and see what's working and what's not working. And especially with motivation as well, it needs that action. And even dopamine, actually, dopamine, we get a hit after the action. So we feel like we need to take action.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Well, the dopamine isn't released when you hit your goal. It's actually, it's about the journey on the way there, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
right. So a lot of times we think, oh, when we get the goal, we're going to feel this euphoric, but it's actually about that resiliency, that cycle
Yeah.
that I'm talking about. Try, learn, and tweak. That's how you build your dopamine. But there, I mean, there's a series of questions I love. This is called The Whoop by Dr. I'm going to say Avi Langer. Sorry, I apologize, but I love this framework. She's a psychologist, and one is to, what's your wish, right? So identify what is it, what is it that you want, right, to achieve. I've actually got it here. That's why I'm reading off of it. Second is what's the outcome. So imagine what the outcome would be for you if you got that, whatever that X was.
Mm.
Then spend some time in, okay, what are the potential obstacles, right?
Mm.
What are they? List them out so you can see them. And then the plan is, well, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. If this happens, I'm going to do this on all the obstacles. And oftentimes what you're going to come away with is, yeah, okay, this is a solid plan. I can run with this. You're still going to have to try. You're still going to have to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
still going to have to tweak. But, you know, that's kind of the process. You're already planning, right? Like if this happens, then this. And the reverse, or the other thing that happens sometimes when we do this system with my clients is they're sitting back going, wow, the obstacles are just way too much for me. And you know what? I don't think this is something I want right now, which is amazing because
Yeah.
that's what clarity is about, right? I mean, my coaching program is called Clarity Coaching because we need that clarity, right? And if
Right.
you're going to sit back and go, okay, these are the obstacles or what's required, and this just doesn't gel with what I can or can't do, there's nothing wrong with saying, not going to do this. Nothing at all. Versus being on that hamster wheel, just
Yes. Mm.
going, going,
Yeah.
going. And you never identified the obstacles. And so if you do, then you say, okay, if this comes up, then I'm going to do this, right?
Yeah. I love that. And
If
it could be a not now, not a total no, right?
Oh,
Maybe something.
100%. I love that line. I
Mm-hmm.
love
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, not now. No,
Yeah.
that is a brilliant, because but again, that's prioritizing and kind of seeing where things need to be, right? Like you're absolutely right. I love not now. I actually
Mm-hmm.
haven't said that in a long time. I have, because in nutrition, right? In nutrition, you're always balancing this, restrict
Yeah.
and and not restrict, right? So one of the things I love doing is reframe. So so it's not, no, I can't have the cake. It's no, not now, but I can have
Yeah.
cake, just
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
right now I've decided to do this,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Actually, very interesting. I was talking to somebody else before on this podcast too, just going off tangent here on nutrition, is I got off dairy for the longest time. Like cow dairy, I was having mozzarella di bufalo, pecorino cheese, sheep, like all of that was fine, but it was the cow milk that was really disturbing me. So and I was bummed because I love cottage cheese. I love my mascarpone, like all of that.
Mhm.
So it was for a good 10 years now. And I started really looking after my gut,
Mhm.
healing my gut. And I've been having like some ricotta here, some mascarpone here, and it's not bugging my stomach as much. So I'm like, huh.
Mhm.
Like talk about like not now. I can't have it now. I mean, it took me 10 years, but that's, going back to your point of how long it takes to recover when you do
Mhm.
yeah, go through these issues. But yes, I like that. I like that. And I do that with my clients as well. It's like, let's work on this for now, but it's not like we're not going to reintroduce it later on. So they feel better too because who doesn't, I think everybody wants to have cake every once in a while, especially on your birthday.
No, 100%. But see, it's I mean, I know that you said we're doing a tangent here, but this, you can apply this to any goal that you have, right? Because that's the thing. Um, it's being clear on what it is that you want and what you have to do to
Yes.
achieve that, and to reframe. all that negative self-talk that'll come up. I mean, it could be cold calling, right? You just
Yeah.
don't want to do it. It could be networking. We could apply this to so many areas of the business. And it could feel like, again, that sandpaper, but it's dealing with these things, right? It being clear that if this is my goal, if this happens, then I need to do this. And maybe right now it's just it's a not now moment. That's all,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you have to reframe these and be able to, I mean, we haven't the self-talk, we could spend hours on that, right? So being able to reframe a lot of that negative self-talk, around what it is that you're trying to do is really critical,
And
in
it's
my
a
opinion.
practice. It's a
Yes,
practice too, Elisa,
yes,
right? Like just
yes.
like you working out, getting really good at pickleball, like it's just a practice. Meditation, like nobody's born a great meditator. Everyone's practicing at it and they just get better. And then it becomes your sort of, autonomic response or automatic response on that
Hmm.
autopilot, but in a positive way because then
Right.
because you've built that muscle. So I do agree with that. So, what is your legacy, Elisa? What do you want to be known for?
I know. I actually have that here, but I didn't even answer. You and I started this conversation. I said to you, I said, I didn't make any notes. I wanted this to be completely from what's inside. So what do I want to be known for? Um, I have a big heart. I'm very compassionate and empathetic. I think that's, being a good citizen, being a good wife, being a good mom, being an honest individual, caring for others. I want people to remember, Elisa, that if somebody needed help, she was there if she could, right? That she was there. I think that to me is really, really important. That's the life I try to model for my children. That if somebody needs me and I lend a hand. And it's not about what am I going to get back? What am I receiving? What am I doing? It's not about that. So I think for me, that would be the number one thing is just to know that I was someone in the community that others could rely on.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. So we're gonna get a little personal now. Not that we've
Ooh,
we were very personal in the beginning, but if you could have lunch with any woman, past or present, who would it be and why?
I think it would be my nonna, believe it or not. Both my nonna Sara, my nonna Lisa. And I'd love to share with them where I'm at today. I really would, because as
Mhm.
much as there were a lot of cultural influences growing up, but I felt that they came more from my parents, believe it or not, than my grandmothers. My grandmothers were like jet engine fuel for me. Like
Wow.
there was nothing that I went to a dance competition with my nonna. I mean, like
Did you?
how, right? Like,
Oh,
yeah, you think that someone, I mean, she would be 105 now, so you figure, and she was probably 55 or so when she came over in the late 1950s. So, pretty set in her ways. She would have conversations with me about, their boyfriends and sex and like both of them and the laughter and the meaning of family. I'd love to share with them what I've been up to and my passion for helping other women find their way. I think that would I think I'm going to pray for that. Like I'm going to pray to them. I think you just
yeah.
inspired something in me because
Yeah, you can
they
definitely.
pushed me to always. I have a very big and loud personality. They never ever tried to make me fit into a corner. A lot of
Yeah.
other areas of my life, I had to kind of tone it
Yeah.
down.
That's
They were like,
beautiful.
no.
Beautiful inspiration. Beautiful. Well, we can actually do a breathwork session and I can modify it so then the meditation will be exactly that. That
Oh,
you
wow.
talk to
That's so
them.
nice.
Yeah. And you
Thank
let them know. We
you.
can totally do something like that if you're interested. Yeah, that would be
Oh, thank you.
awesome.
So kind.
So, what's a book, a quote, or maybe even a mantra that has profoundly impacted your life?
Okay, so I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan,
Mm.
and Dorothy always had my heart. As a child, I remember seeing back then when I was young, things would only come out once a year, right? You had to wait a specific time. It was always around April that the Wizard of Oz would come out. But that line, dear, you've always had the power all along, right? That has been my mantra all along. It stuck from when I was really young and it served me. I was kind of lean in, we talked earlier about intuition, kind of lean into that. I've always had the power all along, right? And to
Mm,
believe it. I think that's the one for me that really sticks.
that's beautiful. And I'm sure that's what makes you a great coach because you instill that in your coachees as well, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you could give your younger self, and you can choose which, at what age, one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think I would choose my 25-year-old self. And I think I would say to her, what would I say? I can see her. So she had long brown hair, it was straight, Rita, like so straight. Like I look at your curls and I just want to, I used to tie my bun up here. Um, but I would say to trust yourself, trust yourself.
Yeah.
I
Was
did,
good.
I accomplished a lot by pushing, and I wish I would have just trusted myself. It would
Mm,
have, I would have, I don't think I would have been more or less, but it wouldn't have been as exhausting.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thank you. So, Elisa, what does success mean to you at this stage of your life and career?
So last year I turned 60. This year I turned 61.
Wow, you look amazing.
I know, oh, I'm telling you, like, just wonderful. So for me, success now looks like, having that community around me, whether it be my family, um, my sorelle siciliane, getting involved in the community and fundraising, my I want to say workout family because that's really what it is, whether it be at the gym or pickleball. I seem to have all these different connections. Um, but really, I don't know what the right word is. I'm trying to come up with, but being where I want to be, to me, that's success for the next. Because at 61, you look at it and say, okay, well, you know what, the average lifespan, what I got 25 or so years. Um, Not that I'm wanting to do it on my own. I want to be able to lean in and be there for, like, my parents are older, but I definitely want to enjoy this time. Like actively be participating in it. I'm not letting the time go by because that's what's happening, right?
Yeah, I
It's not
know. It's
happening.
crazy.
So for
Yeah.
me, that's on my radar. I think looking at that 80 mark and saying, that's close.
Mm.
it's not that far away. I can touch it. So,
Eh, but I don't know. I mean, yes, it's 80 for the average person. You're not your average 60-year-old. So I think
but
you
no,
got
but do you
more
know what
years.
I'm trying to say? To
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
okay, like I'm okay with that. And but it's there. So I want to ensure that I'm not just,
Yeah.
here's another day gone. Like,
Yes.
what am I
Yes.
doing? Right. So
That's
to put
beautiful.
my hands into things, I think, I work with a lot of clients that are either thinking of retiring or have retired. And one of the things that we work or on a lot is, how do you plan for that? Right. How do you live the next stage of your life? And
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle because I am still working, but
Right.
there's another strategy, and no one's teaching that, right? No
I
one,
know.
no one's
Yeah.
kind of, offering any meat behind that.
Yes.
So I want to be prepared for it as I'm going through it. So
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you have. And it's actually a nice little segue into my next question, which is what's on your bucket list? Immediate and then maybe 10 years from now. And you can choose whether you want to do personal or business.
Well, I'm business. I'm pretty. I mean, who wouldn't? I would love to. I want to continue doing what I'm doing. I enjoy the one-on-one. I feel that that's the place that really affects the most change. I'd love to continue doing my speaking and getting a bigger audience that way. Instagram is a lot of fun for me, so I enjoy that. Um, but on a personal level, I really wanted to. I know this guy. Okay, putting it out in the universe. Here we go. I really want to do pickleball. Like I can see myself being that 65 plus category, and doing, Canadian champion. I'm going to throw it out there, right? Like,
Amazing. I love it.
you
You
know,
heard it right here on the Self
you
Care Goddess
heard it right
podcast.
here.
Why
So,
not?
yeah, why not, right? And I can play like the categories go all the way up. So I don't really have, I don't have anything like I want to travel or do this or do that. I have a young, still, I call them young. They're 23. They're going to be 23 twins. I got a twintastic set of twins here. So
Mhm.
I still need to be somewhat home, right? But I don't really have like, I want to go here or there. For me, it's about enjoying each day
Mhm.
and being present at each day. So especially with my daughter, we have this model: one day at a time. Give us our day, our daily bread, Lord, right?
Mhm.
And just stay here. So it's hard for me to kind of think bucket list. I just want to keep my health. I want to keep my vibes going. I want to dance, Rita. Oh my God, do I ever
I
want to?
know. I know, me too. Oh, there's a studio that opened up in Vaughan, so I'd love to invite you to it. I want to go and check it out. Yeah, that's another thing, dancing, right? It's super protective for your
Do they have
brain. It's so fun.
adult
Oh
dancing?
yeah, like ballroom dancing, salsa, merengue. Like she's a beautiful soul. So I'd love to. Yeah, we should go check it out.
Okay, I'm up for it.
Yes. Okay, so these are fun rapid fire questions. So don't overthink them. Just kind of whatever comes to you. No right or wrong, of course. So, what is one word to describe you as a leader?
Compassionate.
If your leadership style were a dance move, speaking of dancing, what would it be?
Let's say the tango.
Nice. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Coffee, tea, or something else?
Coffee.
Mountains or oceans?
Both.
Pizza or pasta?
Both.
If you were a kitchen appliance, which would you be and why?
Oh, the emulsifier. Because
Nice.
everything's better when it comes together.
So true. What's your oddly specific superpower, Lisa? Like maybe always finding the best parking or picking the fastest grocery line.
I would say putting away my groceries. I do an awesome grocery restacking.
Amazing. Do you wash your fruits before?
I
Or
know. So you've got to visit my Instagram, because on my Instagram, I have a reel. I throw everything in the sink and pre-wash it, dry it, then put it in the fridge. The best hack ever.
I know, and it's ready to go. My sister-in-law does that. I never do that, but yeah, it is. It's
Oh,
so
we're
convenient.
going to have to try.
It's so convenient. I'm
And
sure.
then
I'm
we're going to
sure.
learn from it, see if it makes
Exactly.
sense. And then we're going to tweak it a little bit if it doesn't.
Exactly. Yes. So, if you could instantly master one new skill, just like that, Elisa, what would it be?
I love to play the guitar.
Hey, that's awesome. I'm learning how to do that. Yeah, it's
Are you
good.
really?
Yeah, I want to incorporate it as part of my breath work, like
Yeah, I
using
could
my
see that.
voice and the music. Yeah, so I'm
I could
learning.
see that.
Yeah, I mean,
Beautiful.
if you have a musical ear, it's definitely a lot easier to do it, and you just need the time, really. It's just muscle
Hmm.
memory. It really just is
Hmm.
muscle memory. Yeah. Well, maybe we can do a little duo together. So get on it. No, I'm kidding. So if you can gift every woman listening or watching this one thing and think of like Oprah, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, tangible or not, doesn't have to be tangible. What would it be?
I could gift every woman something.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question. Oh, mamma mia. What would I gift everybody? Um,
Maybe one last piece of advice.
okay, let's do that. Let's do one last piece of advice. Okay, I heard this and I really love it especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're constantly questioning yourself and you don't know, you have no one to bounce kind of the idea off of someone. I love this line. It's cringe before it's not.
Hmm. That's true. That's so true.
right? It's
Yeah.
cringe before, like if you let it land as an entrepreneur, where you're always kind of, should I, shouldn't I? Back to that. Should I
Yeah.
listen to my intuition? So it's going to be cringe. Back to that building resiliency wheel
Yeah.
before it's not, right? And then all of a sudden, and then afterwards, everyone's going to go, oh my, that looks
Yeah.
so easy for you, right?
Exactly, exactly. That's so true. That is beautiful. Thank you. And it just like it does, we just did a whole full circle bringing us back, tying this beautiful conversation together. You have some incredible, incredible journeys that you've gone through, you've challenges that you've overcame, and it just shows like the level of confidence, the resilience, the compassion, the empathy, everything that you talked about. It really does show through the conversations that we've had, even offline. You're just
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful soul. I'm just so grateful that our paths have crossed. I'm so grateful that you spent some time with us today and incredible insights. I'm sure lots of women listening got a lot out of this podcast, and so inspiring. I just want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart to making time for us today.
It was an absolute pleasure, Rita, and to everybody listening and or watching, I'm right here. It's okay. Just breathe.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and that reminds me, where, if people want to connect with you, where is the best place?
So my website is www.coachingandmedicine.com. Nice and easy. And at Instagram, it's coachelisa.c.
So those are the best two places.
Those are the best two. I don't really do very much anywhere else. I focused in on Instagram, and that's where you'll be able to find me.
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's okay. It's actually better to focus on one channel, to be honest. But we'll definitely have you back on. So stay tuned, everyone, with your methodology and how you're helping these women to really become the best versions of themselves and feel unstuck and really step into their power, especially after or during midlife. So I'm excited for that conversation as well. Stay tuned, everyone. Okay, ciao for now, Bella. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the Self Care Goddess podcast. If today's episode inspired you, share it with another woman who's ready to reclaim her vitality and lead from within. To continue your journey, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with me on ritasavoya.com. Until next time, remember, self care isn't selfish, it's your superpower. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and keep rising. Ciao for now.